DC Comics have always been known for their superhero families, and today I want to talk about the Arrow family. The Arrow family as a concept really came into life during the 2000s, and it's grown a lot since then, despite facing obstacles such as the New 52. I love the Arrow family. I consider them to be my second favorite superhero family in the DC universe, and I wish we could get more of them regularly. Now, let's take a look at the five major members of the Arrow family. Let's start with the character the family is named after, Green Arrow aka Oliver Queen. Oliver Queen returning to his city after being stranded on an island and choosing to become the Green Arrow changed his life more than he ever thought possible. As a man who grew up having a rich, privileged life, turning into the Green Arrow helped him finally fight for someone other than himself. But at the same time, Ollie's personality and his characteristics remained the same, and it wouldn't be years until he finally became the best version of himself, and that would happen only because of his family. Even though he's the reason why they exist, he's also the reason why the family has broken up so many times. But at the end of the day, despite all of his mistakes, they wouldn't be a part of his family if they didn't believe in him. The next would have to be Black Canary aka Dinah Lance, the unofficial matriarch and the leader of the family, the one who more often than not is responsible for holding everything together. Black Canary is probably the member every single person in the Arrow family trusts without any hesitation. Without her, the family would have been destroyed a long time ago. Black Canary is so vital to the family that even when she is not together with Oliver Queen, her place in the family never changes. Even when Oliver was dead, she was the one guiding Oliver's sons and helping them. She's close with all of them and has had a significant impact on all of their lives. Dinah's role in the Arrow family can never be understated. The third member would be Roy Harper aka Speedy aka Arsenal. The Arrow family as a concept technically started when Oliver adopted Roy. That's when Oliver's mission became bigger than just himself. Suddenly, Oliver was a father responsible for a young child. While he didn't always handle that responsibility well, he did help make Roy into a fantastic skilled superhero. Roy is extremely close with Black Canary, who serves as a maternal figure for him. When Roy got into the Justice League, he dedicated his success to Dinah for helping him at his worst, for taking him in and helping him get clean from drugs when Oliver left him behind. For a long time, the Arrow family was just Oliver, Roy, and Dinah. That's how it started before it eventually grew. Roy has been there for his family whenever they have needed him, and it's safe to assume that they will always be there for him when he needs them. The fourth member is Connor Hawke aka Green Arrow. Connor's debut in the 90s led to the expansion and the birth of the modern Arrow family. Connor Hawke is the son of Oliver Queen, who became the Green Arrow in the 90s after Oliver's death. For a significant period in DC history, Connor served as the only Green Arrow as he tried to uphold the legacy of the father he never got to know. He would form close relationships with Black Canary and Roy Harper and would eventually get the chance to reconnect with his father after Oliver Queen returned from the dead. What makes Connor so special is that he's probably the most forgiving person to ever exist. And in an ironic twist, he is also one of the best fighters in the DC universe. Connor's arrival forced Oliver to grow and mature into the person the people around him always knew he could be. Despite learning that his father abandoned him, Connor was able to move forward and form a close relationship with the Oliver Queen, and proudly shares the Green Arrow name. Connor effectively serves as the quiet peacekeeper of the family. That brings us to the fifth and final major member of the family, Speedy aka Mia Dearden, an excellent legacy character introduced in the 2000s whose arrival really helped solidify the Arrow family as a concept. Mia first met Ollie when he returned from the dead. She was a child prostitute, and meeting the Green Arrow gave her the courage to fight back. She eventually figured out Oliver Queen was Green Arrow, and they started to become close. Ollie decides to take her under his wing, but made it clear that he did not want her to become a superhero like him. As Ollie's pseudo-adopted daughter, she quickly became a part of his inner circle. Leaving behind the tragedy of her past, Mia was able to move forward and forge a better life for herself with the help of the Arrow family. She would eventually figure out she is HIV positive and decide to become the new Speedy after convincing Ollie that she is capable. Mia was such a great addition to the family. Her dark backstory works so well in contrast with her cheery, sassy self. She helped keep the adults sane at times when they felt like they were going to give in to the darkness. Other ancillary members include John Diggle, who was introduced to the comics from the Arrow TV show in recent years. He's a very minor character in the comics who has worked with the family a couple of times. In the comics, he was introduced as a former friend of Oliver Queen, and they have a very antagonistic relationship. I'm not a huge fan of him in the comics, but I thought his presence was still worth mentioning. Another recently introduced member would be Red Canary, aka Sienna, a civilian who decided to be a superhero after witnessing Black Canary in action. Red Canary is very new to the comics and has really not been used much at all despite DC hyping her per debut. She barely has a relationship with Black Canary, much less the other members of the Arrow family. Last but not the least, I want to provide a special mention to Hal Jordan, aka Green Lantern. In a lot of ways, Hal was the unofficial fourth member of the classic Ollie Dinah Roy dynamic. As Ollie's best friend, he was kind of an uncle to Roy and spent a lot of time mentoring him. He also considers Black Canary to be a dear friend. The Lanterns may be his official family in a lot of ways, but Hal's Earth family will always be the Arrow family. The Arrow family also has two prominent kid members. The first would be Roy Harper's daughter, Leanne Harper, the beloved gem of the Arrow family. Oliver adores his granddaughter, and Roy would do anything for her. She was removed from existence in the New 52 comics, but has recently been brought back. But she's no longer the cute kid that people knew from before the New 52. The Leanne Harper we know today is an aged-up version who's well on her way to becoming a superhero, just like her father. The second would be Sin Lance, Black Canary's adopted daughter. Sin Lance was being groomed to be one of the world's best fighters since she was a child before she was rescued by Black Canary, who decided to take her under her care. Despite being Dinah's daughter, she hasn't really interacted with the Arrow family as much as you would expect. Sin didn't last too long before being written out of the comics. She would eventually be erased from existence during the New 52, but she was recently brought back, and similar to Leanne, Sin was aged up and currently serves as the host of an entity known as Megara while working with Black Canary and the Birds of Prey. Now that the major members have been listed, I also wanted to touch on some of the ancillary members of the Arrow family. Here we have Emiko Queen, aka Red Arrow, Oliver's half-sister who was introduced in the New 52. Emiko is a relatively new addition to the comics, and while she has found her own place in the family, she has barely interacted with anyone outside of Ollie and maybe Danaland. Emiko's story has always been one of defiance. As the daughter of Shadow, she could have easily followed in her mother's footsteps and become a ruthless assassin. But Emiko chose a different path. With support from Ollie and Dinah, she came into her own as a superhero called Red Arrow and is well on her way to becoming a great superhero. I do wish they would explore her dynamic within the Arrow family and see how she fits in. For those who may be wondering about Arrowhead from the Young Justice comics, she has never really been associated with the Arrow family, despite being a prominent archer in the DC universe. It wasn't until the recent Green Arrow series that she would even appear alongside them, and even then it was mostly a cameo that led nowhere. If you are familiar with Artemis from the Young Justice show, she is unfortunately not a hero or a relevant character in the comics. Despite being loosely based on the Artemis from the comics, she is effectively an original character created for the show and has nothing to do with Green Arrow or the Arrow family in the comics. Those are all of the members of the Arrow family. I adore the concept of the Arrow family and I really love their dynamic, especially between the five major Arrow family characters. DC spent a lot of time in the 2000s building up the Arrow family only to completely erase it in the New 52. It wouldn't be until DC Universe Rebirth that the Arrow family concept would come back, and it would take a few more years before many of them who were erased from existence would actually return. The Arrow family are always very entertaining, and I love watching them interact. Being in this family has helped each of them grow and be better than who they were. DC made this family go through a lot of shenanigans in the late 2000s and the New 52 era and beyond. And I think a lot of fans gave up hope that the Arrow family would ever make a return. But thankfully, despite the odds, it did make its return, and I hope writers use the foundation that they currently have to build on the family and the character dynamics instead of trying to remove it or pretend that it doesn't exist.